welcome, welcome. Just checking to see if I am on. Yes. Hello, hello. How is everybody? Just let me know that you can see me and hear me okay. I've just got back, so I've connected all my computer up and I've been straight back into work, straight back into work mode. You may or may not have even noticed that I have been quiet. I actually went away. I took off on Friday and I got back today, and I am feeling amazing. I really needed to get away and just have a break. So I still worked for a few of the days, a little bit here and there, but I tried to just stop. I just don't know how to. I love what I do. But yeah, it was great to get away and just have a break and eat some yummy food and go to some new places I've never been to before. And yeah, it was really, really awesome. So anybody that has done the Southwest lately, yeah, I'm sure you can appreciate just how amazing it is down there. There's so much, I think, that we can see and do and explore. It's just, for me, a little bit cold. Hubby seemed to not have a problem at all, but I definitely got cold. I had a few layers on. So if you're joining me tonight, can you please let me know? Pop a comment below and tell me where you're joining me from and what was it that made you want to join tonight. If you're happy to share that, you don't have to. But yeah, interestingly enough, having some time away and relaxing and unwinding is exactly what I needed. So I'm feeling really great, feeling really pumped, super excited to get back into everything. And yeah, I do love what I do. So I it's hard to have time off because I love what I do. But anyway, tonight's a really great topic. It's one that I think is even more important than ever before when I was doing a little bit of research on this topic, because I'm finding that this is something that a lot of women are dealing with at that moment. And I wanted to see what the latest stats were after what we've all been through for the last 2 years. And it was very interesting. So yeah, let's have a look who's joined. It's very interesting to see what's changed. So I'm going to share that with you. Hey, Jean, thanks for joining. I think it's your first time joining, is it? Welcome. Hey, Tina, hope you're feeling better. Hi, Julie, you found the live. Awesome. We can get started. Yeah, if you're just hopping on now, please pop in the comments and let me know that you are joining us, so we can get started and yeah, chat a bit more about it. If you feel comfortable, please pop in the comments. Do you currently experience anxiety? Is it something that you are feeling on a daily basis? Is it every now and again? What is it that you're actually experiencing? Do you know what your anxiety is related to? What's causing it? Or do you find there's all different things that are causing the anxiety? So I'd love to know a little bit about it, just because then I'm happy to share and talk about things that actually you're experiencing and sort of getting to the bottom of it. So, oh, you're Tina's mum. Awesome. Well, welcome and thank you for joining. Yeah, and I think it's important to really have a bit more of an understanding for me when I'm sharing this info, how often people are experiencing and feeling it, and how much it's sort of taking over your life as well. So anxiety every day. Okay, yeah. So let's just have a think about, do we know what it is that's creating the anxiety? Is it different things that are creating the anxiety? Everything that's creating the anxiety? Is it something that you've had for a long time? Can you feel those sensations in the body? So I'd love to hear a bit more about that. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to go through just a short little, I'm very visual and I love pictures and stuff like that, but just go through a little bit of a presentation. But before I did, For those of you who are here in Perth, just a reminder that it's the first Thursday of the month this week. Our Healthy Empowered Women in-person sessions. This one's on self-love on Thursday night. And I'm actually making some soup. So if you're coming, you can have a yummy, healthy, delicious, comforting soup to drink and eat while you're joining us. So it's a really great session if you're finding that you're struggling with your thoughts about yourself, the way you treat yourself, if you're finding that you're lacking confidence, self-worth, you're doubting yourself, that you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed and underappreciated is what I like to say. So that is a great session. So it's in 2 nights. I've still got tickets. It's only $25 for 2 hours. And I'm going to be making a yummy, yummy warm soup for everybody. So feel free to join us. And I'm going to share my screen. I'll just see if there's any comments before I get started. Very anxious, have health issues and sick. Had anxiety for a while, dry mouth, racing mind. Would love some help on how I can reduce anxiety while tackling health issues. Absolutely. So let's get these answered for you tonight. And also know that you're not alone. It's very common, but I believe there's lots of different reasons why it happens. So I'm going to share those with you tonight. Give me one sec. Okay, so hopefully if you can let me know that hopefully you can see my screen and I can get this started. And I'm just checking for comments as well. And I love that Julie actually can recognize what her body's experiencing. So dry mouth is interesting because that's really connecting to what the body's trying to explain as well. Sleep around 3 hours, can't shut down. Okay, there's lots of things going on there, but yeah, great. Keep them coming. A bit more of an explanation of what you're going through so I can do my best to share some insights with you about those things. All right, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Melissa Wilkes. Just to be super quick, a nutrition and mindset coach. Here's a picture of my family. Hubby and I have been together since we were in high school and we have 3 kids. I know, crazy, right? I'm obsessed with food. I'm a really big foodie and I do cooking classes, but I'm really, really obsessed about nutrition coaching because I love watching women change and really grow and learn so much about the powers of what food can do and how healing it can be. And I also run retreats, and we've got a retreat in 3 months. I've been running these for 6 years. Someone asked me to describe it the other day, and I said, honestly, the best way to describe it is think of a beautiful luxury retreat that's affordable, but it also includes personal development, everything you can think of that's nutrition based without it being boring or anything like that, because I try and be very exciting if I can, and just lots of self-love and self-care. So we're half booked out and we've got 3 months to go. So half booked out already. If you are really needing some help and support, these retreats I run, and it's going to sound like I'm talking myself up, but I honestly believe they are really, really life-changing, and they can make such a huge impact, because when we're away from the home and away from all the people that we're responsible for, all those demands on us, we can get a lot more clarity and sort of be able to put ourselves in a position of seeing what really is going on and then learning how we can best deal with ourselves. And then tonight, how to manage anxiety the healthy way. I'm going to keep looking for comments, so please do pop them in. Keep commenting so I know that you are that you're following along with me, and if there's any questions that I'm keeping up with them as well. So having anxiety can affect your everyday life. It can be pretty big. And what I hear a lot is from women that come to work with me is that they are finding it really hard to actually even enjoy their life. trying to find a way to balance all the different aspects of life. That kind of life juggle can be really overwhelming. Capability to develop and identify strengths and weaknesses, so really understanding what we're good at, we're not good at. Opportunities to express various emotions and to understand how, and then allow those emotions up as well, because we know that the emotions can create even more anxiety. And also being able to recover from challenging times when we know we already experience quite a lot of anxiety, then it can get very overwhelming when things do happen that are out of our control. What I have found interesting is that I knew that over a third of the population have experienced anxiety at some point in their life, but there is recent research, as in and surveys in the last 2 months, and I just changed some of the wording there because you'll be quite surprised at the filtering that goes on with Facebook and stuff like that, and you may already know that, where they block certain wording. But yeah, it's changed, and they're saying now that we're looking at half the population's experience from the last few years has caused such a significant increase in anxiety that the numbers that they used to have statistically has changed so dramatically. And I think for what I've experienced personally myself and what I've watched my clients go through is things that were there behind in the surface sort of were manageable to a certain extent are now no longer, because of all the experiences that we've had to go through and what we've had to do to cope with what's going on in our lives over the last few years has really, really changed that. So I'm not sure if that's something that you have experienced yourself, that you find that you did have a little bit of anxiety and then the last 2 years has really blown that out of proportion, or you've noticed how much more of an impact you have on different things that are happening, and when something new is announced, you can feel all that anxiety and overwhelm get to that point that it's just a lot more heightened than it used to be before the last few years. So I am hearing a lot of women saying that to me. So if that's you, please share what your experience has been from the last 2 years. And are you surprised? Are you surprised that we've gone from a third of the population of the world to now half experiencing anxiety at some point from the last 2 years? So trying new things is a huge hurdle. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And too many people. Yes. Great. Keep sharing because I do want to try and address everything. Social anxiety is a big one and something that affects a lot of women. And it's also important to understand that with social anxiety, we don't always understand the fact that it's actually a body and our mind's response to not wanting to do something. We can feel like we're just sort of withdrawing from people, or we don't feel good enough about going out, but it's actually a thing. It's a real thing of social anxiety. So really understanding that when we do get that social anxiety, being around groups of people, being in places where there's a lot of noise, or where there's a lot of even your friends, people that you would normally feel comfortable with, you start to feel not as comfortable because you can feel that anxiety come up. And so also understanding that what can happen within the body is the fight, flight, or freeze response, or fawn, if people say that as well, but fight, flight, or freeze response. And that's a real thing that's happening, where you are feeling that scared or frightened or overwhelmed or anxious, that your body starts to experience that. And so you start to feel like when you go out, this feeling might happen and you want to avoid it. So you start noticing you're not going out as much. Also connecting fight, flight, or freeze response that your body's having Can also be that feeling of feeling hotter. You might feel colder. You might get a pounding heart, faster breathing. I'd love you to pop in the comments what sort of reactions your body has to just general anxiety or social anxiety, something that you really notice. I hear a lot about churning stomach, feeling sick, sleeping difficulties, which we've a few ladies have already mentioned as well. Difficulty thinking clearly or having or your memory. And I guess also low libido. And what about headaches or muscle soreness? Does anybody experience that they have noticed as well, that anxiety also creates like a soreness throughout the body because your body's tense and quite tight. And you might actually feel yourself, I don't know if you can see me right now, but you might feel yourself actually bunched up. Your shoulders are hitched up, your neck's all tight, your back muscles are all tight. The last 2 years has definitely increased my anxiety. Yes, that's very common from everybody I've been hearing about, and women that come and work with me, clients that are saying that the last 2 years has really triggered a lot of things that was kind of there, but it's got a lot worse. Hey Denise, how are you? Living for 20 years, very little support is very trying sometimes. Got to get back to working voluntarily so I don't feel alone as much. Yeah, absolutely. And that's that social anxiety. We find it's easier sometimes to be on our own in our own company and not realize that we're avoiding situations because of that anxiety or worry about having anxiety, worry about how you're going to feel and knowing that you're not at home. And so that can come into quite a cycle. But we are actually designed for connection, not 24/7 connection, but we are designed to connect with other human beings. And so that's important as well. And I know I've got clients that have pets, and so they are very connected to their pets, but we've got to remember that it's not just about our connection to pets, it's about other human experiences as well. Hot, cold, and soreness terribly at the moment. I did not know soreness was a thing at all. Well, sure, let's practice that. Just sit and get comfortable in your chair and close your eyes, and then just try and drop your shoulders and try and relax your body and just concentrate on your breathing and see where you're feeling the soreness. And if you're feeling it around the neck, you're feeling it in the jaw, in your back, think about how you hold your body in the day, throughout the day. How do you hold your body? Do you find that your shoulders do get hitched up? Do you find that you bend over a bit more? It's quite common when we're anxious, we actually fall forwards because we kind of, we're in fight, flight, or freeze. So we actually protect our heart area, and we protect our lungs, our organs, because we're in fight, flight, or freeze. We're telling our body that we're in perceived danger. And so we actually pull forwards. So have a think about what parts of your body you've made quite tense from that anxiety feeling. I know that was something that used to be very common for me when I was younger, a lot younger, was all around my stomach area. So you'll probably find that you've got a lot of stomach. Jean's agreeing with that. Stomach issues when anxiety is at its worst. Yes, and we're going to cover that as well. But have a think about where it is that it shows up in your body. Because when you do that, you can start to make a connection to what it is that's actually creating more of the anxiety. So we're going to see a little bit more about the reasons why we get anxiety. And I want you to think about the fact that whenever we're learning about anxiety and we're going and speaking to, and I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, and I'm not a doctor. So I wholeheartely suggest that you always seek the right advice from the right people. And this is just from my experiences, my knowledge, and my own qualifications. And like I said, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, but we do need to question the fact that it's quite common that our root cause for anxiety is not looked into. A lot of the times we're addressed in our outward symptoms, the things that our body's displaying to us, and not so much of what is actually creating the anxiety in the first place. And the reason why I coach clients on let's figure out what the root cause is, because you can find that there's lots of different things that are going on. For example, I experienced IBS. I experienced a lot of shyness, a lot of withdrawing from people. I experienced some pretty huge symptoms throughout the body, really, and none of it was ever linked to a root cause. And if I did go and speak to a doctor about anxiety, nothing was suggested to me personally that was going to be looking at why I was experiencing anxiety. It was always about how can we treat it, not why is it happening. And so I think sometimes we've got to remember that it's important to look at why things are happening. What is actually the body trying to tell us? Because our body communicates with us all day, every day, and we're not listening. We're not listening. We're not really thinking about what is it that's actually going on here? What is it that we need to address? So that's where I sort of go, let's think about if we're looking for quick fix solutions. And I get that sometimes we need to get out of the way we feel and we don't want to keep feeling it anymore and we don't want it to get aggravated or worse. But when do we get to the point where we start looking at, okay, what is actually the problem here? What is the root cause? What is underlining this behavior, these feelings, these emotions that are happening within us? When we're looking at quick fix solutions, sometimes they can actually create more problems, or they can create a new problem. So we think we've addressed one and then something else has happened. So it's really being aware of what is it that you're doing that could be creating more problems. And instead of looking for the quick fix, let's look at exactly what could be going on. I want to be very clear. I'm a big advocate for obviously real nutrition. And what we've really noticed is such a huge change throughout the world in the way people eat. Everything is quick food. How can we quickly get this food? How can we be able to obtain it cheaply and not worrying about actually what it is and whether it really is even real food? So what in most cases I find the cheap food gives us cheap thoughts. So cheap food gives us cheap thoughts, very well linked to the anxiety that's happening in the body. So why is this important? Because we need to start addressing what the body's actually receiving. So if we need to eat to fuel our body and we're putting in some crappy old leaded fuel from 1995 into our bodies, how are we expecting to be able to perform at a really good, even to be able to cope on a day-to-day basis if we're running and putting some really shitty quality fuel into our body? We also need to think about, are we actually getting into our body any types of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients into our body that's going to fuel us, and that fuel is going to make us feel well. You might not realize, but vitamins and minerals are actually what make us feel good. And one example is like vitamin B6, I think it is, creates serotonin in the body. So when we're lacking in that, we can be lacking in some simple happy, feel-good hormones. So thinking about how that could be impacting our body is important. It's quite common that we get caught up in the inflammation foods and the inflammation behavior. So inflammation foods being foods that aren't real foods, they're packaged foods, they're processed foods, they're high in the things that we want to be avoiding, like the sugars and trans fats and things like that. So they're not providing any nutrients. And then when that happens, we're eating the inflammation foods and we're creating ourselves inflammation behavior, which is like working really long hours, not getting good quality sleep, that sort of thing. Our body's going to react in the fact that we're going to create inflammation in the body. Plus, we're confusing the body. And in most cases, a lot of people are finding that they're getting addicted to food. So that's another problem as well, because they're addicted to eating something that they think is nutrients and it's not. Dieting is connected to anxiety. Again, it's confusing the body by giving it restrictions, not feeding the body the right nutrients and vitamins and minerals in there, by cutting down the amount of food that you're supposed to be eating. So I don't know if you've ever had what do they call it? The hangry feeling. You can literally start to shake. Your body shakes. Your stomach's churning. You're really, really hungry. And so again, this is showing how the body really needs to have a good quality amount of food. A lot of the other things we're noticing is there's a real lack of movement, a real lack of sleep with women, a lack of connection with other people in a healthy way, lack of socializing, times out in nature, which is kind of taken away from us a bit up and down over the last 2 years, and a real lack in health knowledge, not really knowing how to support the body. And what we've done is we've replaced all these things with busyness or the need to drink alcohol to cope, that it's okay to stress all the time. Trauma is in there because we are experiencing things, even what has happened to us the last few years, experiencing these things, but not knowing how to deal with them. And when we don't know how to deal with them, they're staying within the body, which are creating anxiety. Getting really caught up in what other people are doing through social media, and a lot of chemicals and food interference, which, you know, it's something that I'm really big about. So okay. Another thing is really noticing how the anxiety shows up in the body. Anxiety can really be being shown throughout the body in many different ways. It can be shown through the stomach cramps, stomach pains, our hormones, our skin, irritations. So anxiety is in irritation. Also, something that I haven't covered, do you realize anxiety is linked to worrying about the future? So anxiety is linked to worrying about the future. That's us trying to control something that is out of our control, because we can't control the future. So when we try and control the future, we're overthinking what's going to be happening in the future. We're trying to control it. Have you thought of that? Maybe you have. Sugar. They've only just come out the last few years and admitted this, unfortunately. I've been saying it for a long time, but hey, whatever. You know, sugar's found in nearly 80% of packaged food. It's, I guess, which I've already said, directly linked to inflammation. It's an addictive brain chemical. So our brain asks for it. And when we don't give it to it, what happens? Our body gets stressed, our mind gets stressed. So we need to think about how sugar affects our mental well-being. And we need to ask, why are we not being asked to reduce the amount of sugar when we're experiencing anxiety? So there's quite a few authors out there that are writing books. They're publishing the research out there, but it's still not well known, the link between sugar and anxiety and how the body reacts to it and how the body gets addicted to it. They believe that sugar is one of the first things you should cut if you're experiencing a high level of anxiety. So, and also just looking at our blood sugar levels and what happens when we're eating processed sugar. When I'm talking about sugar, I'm talking about processed sugar. You might have seen me share this with you before, but who's really thought about the quality of the food that they're eating? So this cereal that's targeted to women as a breakfast cereal through the Nutrition Australia, if you're watching this and you're Australian, which I'm assuming everybody is, who wants to eat a bowl of rice for breakfast and then adding some synthetic vitamins to it so we can get a 4-star health rating on there? They're not real vitamins, they're synthetic. They're not real minerals in there, they're synthetic, but if they put them in there, then they can get that 4-star rating. You'll probably find if you wake up and eat a bowl of rice for breakfast, you're not necessarily going to be having a lot of energy and feeling really productive for the day. So maybe your day starts off sluggish, and then you start to have that anxiety about the way you're feeling because you're not high energy, you're not feeling amazing. That's something to consider as well. This one's a big thing. Adult additive reactions linked to anxiety. There's been, thank goodness, huge developments in mothers recognizing that a lot of children's behavior and anxiety is linked to additives and preservatives. And I mean, it's very common now to find stories about mothers that have taken their kids have been diagnosed with ADD or ADHD, and this is not in all cases, but a lot more common now. And once the parents have removed the additives and preservatives out of the food, the child changes, their behavior changes, their demeanor, they're able to concentrate, they're not as stressed or highly strung or overthinking things. And so that's great for children, but what about parents? Why are we not thinking about our bodies behaving the wrong way from the additives and preservatives as well? What about us not thinking about the fact that not only are we not getting real food into us, because all these foods out there these days, it's just ridiculous how much is full of crap and not real food, but how much it's affecting us. I mean, how many times do people make coffees throughout the day? So, I mean, looking at all those additives that are in the Milk Lab almond milk, which is one of the most popular milks you'll find in cafes, and then have a look at the Almond Breeze. I mean, it's got ground limestone in it. Do you really need to be drinking almond milk with ground limestone? How do you think it's going to make you feel? So have we thought about our health issues that are related to the anxiety, or is the anxiety a symptom of the health issues? And I rarely meet clients with anxiety that doesn't also have digestive issues. And what we do is we generally find that we end up getting treated for the symptoms we're presenting. So that could be bloating, heartburn, constipation, diarrhea, but also the IBS, the leaky gut. So, and I'm going to explain why in a minute, but they generally go hand in hand, right? And you may have experienced this. You might already be feeling that you have just been not really connecting the dots with how much your anxiety is connected to the symptoms and how much your symptoms are connected to the anxiety. So then we start looking at the health of your gut. And you may or may not already know this, but our whole nervous system is in the wall of our gut. Sorry, I need water. And when we're worried about things, when we're starting to worry about the future, when we're worrying about potential threats, when we're overthinking situations, when our imagination is running wild, that is also linked to the condition of our gut and the quality of our microbiome. They've been able to directly link the quality of our gut bacteria to the way that we think and the way our brain works, the way it's firing and how healthy it is. So start thinking about, what is the quality of your gut microbiome? Is there a chance that you've had that you're not getting the right nutrients in there to feed the microbiome? Is there a chance that you've had antibiotics? Is there a chance that you've had surgeries? Any of those things that would have disrupted that? Are you stressed? All those things disrupt it and put it out of balance. And an unhealthy gut, or a dysbiosis, which is like when you've got more bad bacteria in there than good bacteria, generally is noticed through mental health issues. And anxiety can be one of the first presenting things, but it also can be one of the biggest presenting things as well. So we need to look at the health of our gut and how that could be contributing to the way we're feeling with that anxiety that we're dealing with. And then understand the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve is what connects our brain to our gut. So they class the gut as like the second brain. You may have heard that. And the vagus nerve is the one that carries that. And what it does is it actually carries messages from the gut to the brain. And it also does it all the way back down again. So it goes back up and down through the vagus nerve, and which is in your nervous system. So if that's not functioning well, then again, your brain might not be functioning well. It might be experiencing the anxiety. And then we have leaky brain. So that if you're not sure if you've got leaky brain, it could be presenting like brain fog, fatigue, memory loss, really struggling to concentrate, headaches, dizzy spills. Depression and anxiety are symptoms of leaky brain. And it's really where the way our brain works is kind of the same as our gut, in that it has kind of like a mesh, like a fence that stops any toxins or chemicals going through the blood into the brain, or through the blood into the gut, depending if it's the brain or the gut, but we're talking about brain right now. And if that starts to get holes in it, then the blood-brain barrier is breached. And so those things start getting in to the brain area and affect the way that we're feeling and thinking. And it also creates inflammation as well, and is connected to mental health issues. So understanding that we could have a high amount of heavy metals, we could be having a high amount of other toxins that are getting through there and connecting and getting through that blood-brain barrier, or creating some damage and some leaks within there. So that can be presenting that way as well. Just reading your comments. And then stress is a big one. When we're stressed or anxious, the amount of healthy gut bacteria we have in our gut actually is reduced. So every time we're stressed, we're wearing down all that healthy gut bacteria we have built up in there, because obviously our body can keep working on those things, but it gets worn down more and more. So if you're not eating the right foods and your gut's not in a good state, and then you're adding stress on top of it, there's more things that are being affected and can be causing that anxiety. So really understanding that stress is putting your gut bacteria in jeopardy, and also it's creating that fight, flight, or freeze response, which I talked about earlier. So we really need to be understanding that as well. When we have a low amount of good bacteria and a high amount of bad bacteria, we're also not producing as much serotonin in our body, and our cortisol levels are out. And so that's also why we don't feel as great, and we feel a lot the anxiety, and we feel the overwhelm, and we're worrying, and the thoughts are crazy and going all over the place. So how can we improve the way we feel? How can we reduce our anxiety and improve the way we feel? Well, I think the first thing, the most powerful thing you can do is start getting a lot more knowledge. Start finding out more about gut bacteria, how you can heal the gut, how you can heal leaky brain, and how you can really make sure your body is absorbing the nutrients, vitamins, and minerals that it needs to feel good. Look at how you can do this on a daily basis by including more and more healthy habits. Healthy habits are vital and so powerful, and they're one of the reasons why I created Healthy Empowered Women's Society, which is just an easy step-by-step process that you can do all online. And I know some of you ladies have already started. We started yesterday, but it's just really about not being overwhelmed, just slowly making those changes. So we know we're taking small steps forwards instead of getting further and further back. And then how can we heal? So in most cases, we need to heal the body. And so that's where you work with a coach like myself or another health practitioner that you're aligned with. And how can you do some healing in the body? I see clients that find out that they've got IBS or they've got celiac or they've got Crohn's, and no one talks to them about how to heal the damage that's there. It's just, oh, this is what you can do. You can avoid this, this, and this, and this is just the way it is. But I know for a fact, and there's a lot of people out there that support this, that the body's amazing what it can do. It can heal to a certain extent, obviously, but it's very, very powerful what the body can do. But we don't necessarily, we can't all make money from healthy food, can we? Well, I can, but there are a lot of people out there that can't. So, we're all there. It's quite common to be looking at these quick fixes that end up. So I end up with diverticulitis and don't eat it all. Oh my God. Okay. So Jean, that's where your body's been talking to you all this time, and it's trying to communicate with you, and you're just sort of pushing through everything. And then what has also happened is you've just learned how to cope. So you're just in survival mode. And I would strongly suggest you look at how you can get from surviving to thriving by the things I just talked about: knowledge, healthy habits, and healing. And just know that the smallest things make a huge difference. You don't have to overhaul your life. I didn't. You don't have to overhaul your life. I don't ask clients to do that. It's just small steps where we make changes. And when we think we're making changes to lose weight or have amazing younger skin, we're all for it. But when we know we're going to do it for our health, we're all hesitant. We've got to get back to, what is the most important thing? I want to feel good. I want to feel good and not have overwhelm and not deal with anxiety and be able to be calm most of the time and not feel like life is, hard, because it shouldn't feel hard. So let's get into eating accordingly, because what we eat is how we are going to feel. Food equals mood. It's proven, it's a fact. The food equals mood. So if you feel less than ordinary, if anxiety is happening, address the food. And I'm telling you, there is always rooms for improvement with food. Everybody says there isn't, but there is. You don't have to go all out. You can just make small changes. Consider how you can work on your gut health. So do you have gut dysbiosis? Do you have leaky gut? Do you have autoimmune diseases that are happening? Do you have mental health conditions that you're pushing through and not dealing with, and you're not looking at the root cause? And is there stress and vagus nerve dysfunction? And if there is, then how are you expected to improve the way you feel if none of these things are being addressed? Look at some good quality omega-3. I always suggest get everything through food. So I would definitely suggest that you do the best you can to, and that's some samples of brain food, but also, a good quality. And that doesn't mean something from from the chemist that's, you know, 500 fish oil tablets for $5. That's not the stuff that's going to make any change. But start looking at how that can help you with brain food. Get more food and health knowledge. Figure out what suits your body type, what gives you energy, what supports you feeling good. So what foods support one person doesn't support the next person. We've really got to figure out what it is that the body actually needs to thrive, instead of just giving our body what it needs to survive, which is just to get you from day to day. And what provides a healthier mind and body for you, and what empowers you to live healthier. And definitely look at doing more movement, more sleep, more connection, more socializing, activities in nature, healthy eating and knowledge, and less of the other stuff. The more you crowd the other stuff out, the better you're going to feel. So you get to that point where you start to feel like you're improving yourself daily. One small step every time makes a huge, huge difference. If anybody is interested in having a chat with me, I always offer these. I'm available for free 30-minute health strategy calls. Just if you want, I can add the link underneath, or you can just use your camera over there on your phone and book in, and we can have a chat about what is going on with you if you are experiencing anxiety. But because this is a big thing, maybe you do need to go and see you know, like I said, I'm not a doctor and I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist. Maybe that's what would suit you. So really look at, is that what you're needing? But the way I work with clients is really working on what we can do, how powerful food is, and our behaviors, what we can do with what we're doing on a daily basis, and then how we can look at creating like a healthy mindset, how we can look at life being a little bit more exciting and fun and not so overwhelming. So I would love to hear your thoughts. What is it that you have taken from tonight's session? What is it that's really coming up for you, that you had your aha moment that you didn't realize? I know a lot of people don't realize how much their body's showing them the anxiety is being held in the body through the achy body and the stress and the, you know, hunched up shoulders and jaw pain, that sort of stuff. So would love to hear your aha moments and what you've realized. And like I said, if you want to book in a chat with me, I'll pop the link in here after. And if you're wanting more information about Healthy Empowered Society, we actually closed the doors for this month. But if you are interested in some of the details, it's super, super affordable, very, very small. And it honestly is just about you making small changes step by step. And it's just a great online program, super easy. So yeah, overhaul your diet. Yes, Jean, just small steps with your food makes a huge difference, So I'll get Abby to drop in a link to do a health strategy call with me if you're interested, and also the details for Healthy Empowered Women's Society that launched yesterday. It's supposed to be closed, but I've been away and just come back full of excitement. So yeah, I'd love to share that with you and want to hear what your aha moments are. So please share them, and I want to go through and read up on those. And like I said, still some tickets left for Thursday night. Would love you to join. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Really, really appreciate it. And your honesty and sharing, it means a lot. Like, you know, you really can help each other when we talk about these things and realize that, you know what, we're not alone. There's heaps of us out here dealing with different things, and we don't need to just sit in survival mode. We can actually get out of that and start really enjoying life and feeling amazing on majority of the time, at least. So thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night. Good night.